Hey, welcome to episode 2 of the FSBO Smarts Podcast. Cue the intro music. Hello, this is Steve Klein with FSBO Smarts, bringing you the best tips, tools, and techniques for selling your home on your own, digitally and online, for sale by owner style, and helping you save thousands of dollars in the process on your next home sale and helping you become FSBO Smart. Hey, I'd like to thank you for coming back to the FSBO Smarts Podcast and our monthly report on our progress of selling our home for sale by owner. We're also exploring the digitally and online portion of selling your home because, well, I work in online space, including marketing and media and software development, so it's kind of up my alley. But I also want to give you those tools and explore those with you as well as I'm going through it. But really, this month's report is really going to be a little bit different because we haven't even got into that yet. In fact, it's taken us a lot longer than I thought. When we talked about in our last session in April about going through the house and cleaning up everything, I was doing this for my mom's house, the house I grew up in, but I didn't realize how much stuff we really had. I mean, there's like almost 60 years worth of stuff, and I thought that we had cleaned it out with my mom when she was still there, but there's like tons of stuff. Even in my old bedroom, which it's kind of funny, like my mom kept all of this old stuff, like my Hot Wheels from years ago and all this stuff. She thought that, and maybe you have a mom or a dad that's like this and they say, oh, that's going to be worth something someday. One day, someone's going to pay you a lot of money for that. Or you probably heard, that's going to be worth something. You know what? I don't really know if it's worth that much at all. Because as we started going through these things, and I'll just kind of give you a list here in a second, it was just like the value really wasn't there like I thought it was. And I'm not sure if that's because of things like eBay and things like this that make some of the stuff that you would think had a value not so significant anymore. Well, anyway, but we had things like photo albums, that's just personal stuff, but we also had music albums. That's the real kicker. We had old, like classic jazz artists. We had things from like the Beatles, the Turtles, Beach Boys. There was all these different variety of albums. And then my mom had these egg collections. So we were going through that as well. So anyway, not to bore you with the mundane details, but what I wanted to give you is a little bit of a tip when you are preparing your house. Now, I think that when we first sold our house for sale by owner, the first house that we sold ourselves, which was back in 2005, we actually gave ourselves about a couple months leeway, but it really took 4 to 6 months. I believe it was 4 months to the time that we really started preparing our home and the time that we put it on the market. We had about 4 months, I think it was. And so I always say, give yourself plenty of time. And this is going to the first tip, I think, that I'm going to give in this particular, I guess it's going to be an episode, because I'm going to record these every month, and eventually I'm going to be putting out on either Facebook or podcast or whatever platform that you're listening to this on. But one of the big tips is to plan. You have to have a plan, right? In fact, I think it was Benjamin Franklin that had that quote, "If you fail to plan, you're planning to fail." And I really believe that. It's true even with your house sale. So as you go into this, you have to have a plan. Now, our plan was to get this house totally ready to be sold or to put it on the market within 2 months. Well, now that we've gone through things and it's taken us a month thus far, I'm not sure if we're actually going to make that. It's May now and we have to have everything ready by June. And we haven't even had a garage sale yet. And I really want to get the garage sale. My wife was going to call her mom, and they're going to put some stuff on the sale, what she had, and we're going to make it a multifamily sale. So that's really going to be really exciting. But also, it'll just get rid of a lot of the stuff, right? I mean, there's a lot of, I don't want to say junk, but there's a lot of stuff that is just kind of old and dated. And some people may appreciate it, and some people may not. So anyway, we got a lot of stuff that we still need to clean up. And then we're also rented a storage unit because I think that with the stuff that we're getting, I'm not sure which I want to keep and which I'm going to delete. I always say delete, but what I'm going to keep and what I'm going to get rid of anyway. And with the storage unit, it comes at a cost. And so I really have to start thinking, is this stuff really valuable? Like, is it really valuable to me? And they do this with hoarders, right? They'll take everything out of their house and say, okay, is this giving me any love? Do I feel any love from this inanimate object? And then 9 times out of 10, they say no, and then they get rid of it. But what I'm saying is these are family memories. Some of these are family heirlooms, and some of them are just like collections. Like, I don't even really care. My mom have these little egg collections, these decorative, they're sort of like ceramic half circle type eggs. I don't know maybe you know what they are. I just don't know. And so we were wrapping them individually and washing them. And all of these glasses, like that my mom kept, all these Corningware dishes, things that I remember when I was a kid growing up, and they're all there. And so we're just taking a lot of time to go through all of that, and we're going to try and see what we can sell and see how much that gives us. But it's taken a little bit of time. So the one thing I would say, the one tip in preparing your home for sale by owner is plan and give yourself time to prepare your home for sale. The second tip is to make sure that you cleared the house of any belongings that you have personally. So what you want to do, and we did this with our first home sale as well years ago, and then every home that we've sold since then, you want to generify it. It's a little bit different when you're living in the house or when you are, like in this case, we're not living there. So that makes it easy. But you want to make it all generic so that no one knows that it's yours. And that sounds strange, right? But you really want it to become their home. So when they walk in the door, you want to give them the feeling that, hey, this feels like home. And so that's a different mindset that you have to shift into. So this includes getting rid of any family photos from the walls, which we did, by the way. All of the family photos have been removed. The other thing, and we boxed them up, by the way. And the other thing was we had to make sure that we put generic photos up. So like, for example, we had I think my mom had one of a deer next to a creek. And so we put that there as a kind of just kind of a decorative piece in the fireplace in the entryway, so that when they walk in the door, they see this. The other thing is preparing your house for the ambiance of what it will be when they come in. So if you have some potpourri or things like that, you want to make sure that that's presented as well, so that it gives a not only a fresh look, but a fresh air as well. So that's another thing. The other thing about planning is that you need to look at the contract that you're going to be signing. Even though it's not going to be done for a while, or you're not going to have an offer until you actually put your house on the market, it's something that you want to be thinking about. And so I haven't thought about this in a few years because we haven't made a sale in a few years. And since you or I are not a realtor, we have to put our best foot forward. And to do that, it comes back to preparation, right? We're planning. If we don't prepare to plan, we prepare to fail. So it all comes back to preparing. And what I wanted to say about that is, when we prepare the documentation, we can set it up like a template. So we have the contract in front of us, and it's like a template that we could just follow. And I'll probably get into that as we get closer to the sale and the offer. But I just wanted to kind of put it out there because that's something I've been thinking about as well. The other thing I'm thinking about is the price. Like, how do I want to price this home? Now, we'll also be going over that here in probably future episodes, but I'm starting to think about getting some comps or comparable sales that's in the area. There's several ways you can do this, and I'm going to choose a few different ways. I know that even on Zillow, even though Zillow doesn't have the most accurate estimates, it does a Zestimate, which is not really considered a good guesstimate by a realtor's appraisal standards. So we're going to look into that a little bit as well. And finally, whenever price I have, I'm going to want to get a sign up. And there's some really cool signs out there now. I remember when I first sold my house for sale by owner, there was really nothing like that's out there today. And I actually built my own sign. And I got the idea from someone else down the street that had a for sale by owner sign, and they built their own. And so I followed their model. But today you could buy a pre-built sign, and I'll have links for you for those here in a second. And the other cool thing is that since my wife and we were not living there, my mom's not living there, we wanted to make sure that the house is still lived in and the lived in look. Now we're always leaving the lights on because, we just want people to make sure that they think people are there. And so they have these, my mom and dad had these lights in the front, these lamps that automatically turn on when it gets dark. It has a photo sensor. So that's kind of cool, right? I mean, the lights come on and it looks like people are at home and at night. But we still weren't sure, if someone could break in. It's on a busy street, so we don't really have much to worry about. But still, we didn't want to spend a lot of money for like an alarm system or anything like that. And what we found was these cool things called the Wise Cams. It's spelled WYZE. I'll put a link to our website, FSBOSmarts.com/toolkit. And I'll put a link to it there, including the yard signs that I'm looking at. But these cameras are really inexpensive. I think we paid like $20 for one. And I bought I went crazy. I bought 4 of them. So you could buy the pair of them for $25. And I think total I spent like $50, probably with shipping was $60. And I got 4 cameras. One I'm pointing in the front yard. And then another one I'm pointing towards the porch. And then the other one, I'm sorry. The one is pointing inside the house so that is facing from this fireplace towards the front door. So if anyone opens the door, that's the other thing. These things have they're not really motion sensors, but they'll look and see if the picture has changed. And if it changed, then they know something has happened. There's been a movement. And so then what happens is it'll record the last 15 seconds and it'll text you. It'll notify you through an app that they have. And it's all online, all in the cloud. So the video, that 15-second video, it'll notify you and then it'll show you the video, which is really cool. So it's kind of like, I call it a poor man's version of an alarm system. But we figured that way, if someone did break in or there was something that was unusual, we could call the police and then report it, and then they could come over there. And then we're not spending a lot of money on a contract for an alarm system or something like that. So it really has worked out well. And we have 2 cameras pointing in the backyard as well. So far, we haven't really seen much except for at night. It does have night vision. So sometimes we've seen like a dog or a coyote walking through, and it'll trick the camera. But the only notifications that we turn on is the one inside the house, because we figured that if someone does break comes inside, then we will see it and it'll notify us. And that's really a serious thing that we want to know about. So that's kind of something that I wanted to share with you, and that's something that you could get too, or that might benefit you if you are selling your own home for sale by owner and you just happen to not live in the home that you're selling. So that's a really beneficial thing right there, for us anyway. Well, that's about it for this episode. Next episode, I'm going to delve more deeper into what I found on the comparable sales in the area, and also how I'm going to make my price. I'm just going to share that with you in the process that I'm going through and the thought processes. And then also getting the template for the sales contract. I'm also going to start taking some photos once we get the front living room cleaned up a little bit. So that should be fun. And I want to also do a video, but that's not going to come until, I think next month. There's some other things going on too, and we're just trying to juggle it all. So that's it. Until next time, I will see you in the next podcast.